Now, a senior official at the European Medicines Agency has said there is a link between the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine and blood clots. Last week, Germany suspended routine use of the vaccine in people under 60 years of age. That was after 9 people who had received the vaccine died from rare blood clotting. The EMA is expected to issue an update to its advice later today. And let's get some perspective on this story now from the UK. We're joined by Dr. Julian Tang. He's a virologist in the city of Leicester. Welcome to DW. Now, we keep seeing the AstraZeneca vaccine being linked to these rare blood clots, and I want to get your opinion on this. How safe is this vaccine?
Okay, so the first thing to say is that this vaccine is safer than having the virus itself. We know that COVID-19 causes lots of complications, including blood clots, at a much higher frequency than the vaccine. So relative to the virus itself, getting the vaccine is safer.
There are concerns, however, about these rare blood clots that we're seeing. Do we know what factors make people more likely to develop these clots?
Okay, so there's a difference here. The natural infection causes more clotting complications in older male patients and those who have diabetes and obesity. For the AstraZeneca vaccine proposed adverse effect, we've seen this in younger females, so almost the opposite picture to what we see with the virus infection. I suspect all of this is linked to a kind of hyperinflammatory response that you see in some people and not in others, in both the vaccine response, adverse effect, as well as the virus natural infection.
What about in the UK? Because we know that millions of people have received the AstraZeneca vaccine there already. Has the data shown similar cases of these blood clots there?
Yes, so they've shown at least 30 cases, of which 7 have died in the younger population. And they're proposing to restrict the AstraZeneca to those who are older, like the over 30s, for example. Part of the problem is that the UK has vaccinated so many people up to the age of 50, over the age of 50 now. They can't restrict the AstraZeneca vaccine to much older people than 50. So it's slightly different from the Scandinavian and European approach. Certainly, I know that in Germany, Finland, Sweden, and even Canada, they've restricted the vaccine to those who are over 55. And that's to protect the younger population that seem to be more vulnerable to this severe adverse effect of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
You mentioned there the different approaches that we're seeing in Europe, like here in Germany. Some will only offer it to people over the age of 60. So what do you think is the right approach, the right way to administer this vaccine?
So the people most vulnerable to severe disease and death from COVID-19 are the older people. And we're seeing fewer of these adverse effects from the vaccine in the older population. So giving the vaccine to that older age group, the over 60s, over 55, seems to be a good idea to actually, hit two birds with one stone, essentially. Where you have the cutoff for the younger population is difficult to say. Plus, also you have other problems with vaccine supply locally, as well as the other vaccines may have other adverse effects as well, as we see in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines that have been rolled out across the USA in large numbers. So I think every vaccine will have a different profile, and we have to try and figure out which population best benefits from the vaccine with the fewest side effects going forward. And don't forget, there are relatively few of these adverse effects with the AstraZeneca vaccine so far. With more and more cases coming forward, and I think there will be more, you might see a more kind of universal profile that people can then adapt to when making these vaccine recommendations for the AstraZeneca vaccine.
We'll have to leave it there. Dr. Julian Tang, a virologist in Leicester. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.